What's good, people? It's your boy Fresh. Welcome to the channel, and today I'll be giving you guys my review of the OPPO F1S. Alright, so the OPPO F1S is a phone that I've been using for the past few weeks or so. I wanted to go ahead and give you guys my thoughts and opinion on it. Now, first and foremost, this phone isn't well represented in the States. It's not a very popular phone that you'll see here in the US. It has a larger footprint overseas in places like India or the UK or China. In the States, you'll probably have to get it unlocked, of course. You won't see it in any carrier stores like Verizon or AT&T, and normally you have to actually have AT&T or T-Mobile service in order for it to work. I personally have been using T-Mobile prepaid SIM cards inside of it, and I say cards because I tried a few of them trying to achieve 4G connection, and after being on the phone with customer service, I found that it's not possible with the OPPO F1S, and I only get edge speed, so that's a downside for us in the US, but hopefully this video helps out people that are overseas when they're looking to make a buying decision. Now, although this phone comes in around about $400 unlocked online, I would still consider it to be a budget or entry-level phone, considering that most flagships are about double that price, if not more. Now, for $400, you end up getting a 5.5-inch screen that's at 1280 by 720, also 32 gigs of internal storage, an octa-core processor, 3 gigs of RAM, a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera, and a 16 megapixel front-facing camera. We'll talk about that later. And then, of course, it comes running Android 5.1 and also has a 3075 milliamp battery. Alright, so you guys know how I like to do my reviews. I break it up into 3 sections: what I don't like, what I do like, and my overall final thoughts and verdict. And let's start off this time with what I don't like. So this is a common trend with companies that are trying to get their foot in the mobile tech space, and they're trying to make cell phones. Apple has been known for making Blu-rays and other components for audio and video. And they're trying to get their foot into the cell phone industry. They have other, flagship OPPO phones that, are very popular out there. This one is for like the emerging markets and the lower tier entry-level phones, like I said earlier. And one thing that companies always try to do, not just OPPO, but other companies out there, they try to make their phone look like something else that's also very popular at the point in time. So the number one dubbed phone or look-alike phone out there is most definitely the iPhone. So a lot of companies try to make their phones look like an iPhone. And with this phone, if you look at the back of it, it looks just like an iPhone 6s Plus. Even down to like where the lines are, where the metal meets, is where the antenna bands would be. The shape of the camera, the overall shape of the phone, the footprint itself looks just like an iPhone 6s Plus in my opinion. And that's the biggest con in my opinion overall, because I don't want a phone that looks like another phone. I don't want a bootleg iPhone. I want your phone to, set itself apart from others, be innovative, and be different. I don't want to have the knockoff iPhone. That's a problem for me, and I wish most companies out there that are looking to break into this industry, I wish they would just stop trying to copycat a Galaxy or copycat an iPhone. Just make your phone your phone. Don't make it like any other phone out there. And now to sum up a couple other things I'm not too excited about when it comes to this phone. For one, the build quality. Now, of course, it is made from glass and metal, so it does feel somewhat premium in hand. But if you apply any type of pressure to the back or front of the phone, it feels hollow. It feels as if they could have slimmed the phone down in its design, or they could have added more battery to, fill up that space. But it feels a little bit hollow in hand when you apply some type of pressure. And then also what you'll notice is that there's a little bit of warping on the screen. If you were to apply too much pressure when using this phone, say for instance, the same amount of pressure that you would use for like 3D touch, for example, the screen starts to warp. So you can tell they cut some corners when it came to this display. Not something that I'm too excited about. It doesn't feel premium, and of course it shouldn't feel premium because it is only $400. So take this with a grain of salt. For me personally, I like premium phones. I don't really go for the budget phone, but for someone out there, you have to understand the target audience for this phone. So say for instance, you're just getting this for your kid, or you just want a cheap throwaway phone, or a phone that you can use as a backup that you don't want to break the bank on. This is going to be a pretty good phone for that. Just letting you guys know what my experience has been thus far and how I feel about the build quality versus what I would prefer. And that pretty much sums up what I don't like about this phone. Really, it comes down to I don't like the design. I hate the fact that it looks like an iPhone. I don't like the build quality. It feels kind of cheap and hollow. But yeah, let's move on to some of the things that I do like about this phone. So first and foremost, I absolutely love the camera. I was actually pretty surprised by its performance. I expected for this phone to have a really crappy camera like other entry-level budget phones, but this phone actually is pretty decent. It's on par with some of the other phones out there that I've used, like the Moto Z Play. which has a 16 megapixel camera as well. This one has a 16 megapixel camera on the front and a 13 megapixel camera on the back. This is the first time that I've ever used a phone that prioritizes the front-facing camera over the rear-facing camera. So this phone is supposed to be the king of selfies. This is the phone that you use if you're trying to take a selfie, an USSI, a Snapchat, an Instagram. This is for the millennial. So overall with this, I mean, to be honest, I don't really take selfies. I'll put some up on the screen right now for you. But it takes really good selfies. They're sharp, they're really crisp, better than the rear-facing camera, honestly. Also, I have some camera samples for the back of the camera as well. Overall, the HDR performance is pretty good. I really couldn't tell the difference between HDR on or off. They both look pretty well exposed and detail is present. The colors are still as vibrant in both options, HDR on and off. And that pretty much sums up my likes and dislikes when it comes to the OPPO F1S. To recap for you guys, it has a decent 720p HD screen, has a dedicated micro SD card slot, which is good, has good cameras both front and back, and decent battery life, and decent all-around performance. And when I talk about performance, I'm referring to the overall operating system, color OS, and going through browser, you know, everyday performance. Not necessarily any labor-intensive work. And also, speaking of benchmarks, so an octa-core processor, this one in particular is not good at all. It's just like many other budget phones that I've tested in the past. Just because it's octa-core does not mean it's fast. So with this, I scored it on Antutu and on Geekbench, and it had the absolute lowest scores out of any other phone ever tested. This phone is horrible when it comes to high-end performance. Do not get this if you're planning on doing any labor-intensive work like gaming, doing a lot of media consumption. This may not be for you. This is a solid phone for pictures, phone calls, text messages, and surfing the web, emails. This is not the phone for performance. Don't get it for that. To give you my final thoughts overall, I think it's a decent phone. You got to know what the target audience is for it. So if this is good, you know, this may be good for a backup phone. This may be good for a kid that's going to school. This may be good if you don't even give a damn about having all the bells and whistles. This is good for you. It'll just do your phone calls, like I said earlier, and, you know, light to medium media consumption. It's not good for high-end, heavy intensive users out there like myself or many other techies. But this is a solid phone for the price. And what more can you really ask for, to be honest? So if you guys are out there overseas, I'd recommend this phone. I give it 2 thumbs up. Most reviews I've seen online are positive regarding its performance in terms of like everyday use. But you got to know what you're getting for your money. This is pretty much a standard budget entry level phone. And I don't want to ramble on too much. I appreciate your time and attention. If you like these tech reviews, feel free to leave a like and a comment down below and subscribe for more. Also, if you guys follow me on Instagram or Twitter, you'll know about these reviews well in advance. I always post teasers of my new tech on there, and you'll be able to see what I'm cooking up for you guys. But once again, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for your time. You guys stay safe, stay fresh. Peace.